Hey everybody, well, thank you all for tuning in. We have a great show for you tonight. I am still your host, Xavia Fox.
What's happening, y'all? It is so nice to be back. We as men, I don't think that we're programmed to pretty much, be, dedicated to one woman, but we're supposed to be. But if you think about it, do we desire to stay with one woman? Are we desiring other women while we're with that woman? Do you understand what I'm saying?
No.
What do you mean no? What I'm saying is, okay, when you are married or with your significant other, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, you see a woman pass by you or a man, do you look at that person as if you want to be with them? Or, okay, that's a nice.
What do you do?
Me? Well, what I used to do, what I used to do is that if I saw somebody, I'd be like, yes.
But you know what? It's okay to do that now as long as you don't touch. I mean, you don't have to go to that extent, but you can be like, it's a nice looking young lady, because you're still a straight man, you still desire women. Mm-hmm. But it's how far you take it. I think that men aren't born to be with multiple women. They're taught this environment, it's a lot of things to take into consideration. So why you like that? And I understand the testosterone, y'all think about it all the time,
But isn't that crossing the line though? I mean, if you think it, then you may as well be doing that.
No, you can't help
Why
it.
not? Why not? Why are you not? Because
you're attracted to women, right? And you can be in love all you want to, but you can still admire a nice looking person. It depends on what you do with it, as long as you don't touch it.
Okay, so you're saying that if I'm with you, me and you at home together, and we sitting on the couch, and your friend walk by, and I am looking at her, and I'm being honest with you, and I say, wow, she's really nice, and I'm looking at her as if, I would want to be with her. Or I'm thinking about being with her.
Draw the line. I mean, you can say somebody is nice looking and, you have your friends nice looking, whatever, but see, me personally, I really don't have no problem with that. A lot of those women probably would, but, I think that you take it too far when you start lusting and all of that.
But how do you know I'm lusting?
I
You don't know. You wouldn't know.
But if you're not, then there's no problem with it.
Because you wouldn't know that I'm doing it.
Right.
But if I see your friend walk by and I'm looking at her and you're looking at me.
Let's use your friend. If I see a friend of yours, I'm gonna look.
Now, we ain't gonna have that.
I'm gonna look.
All right, I think it's a difference between desiring another person and finding another person attractive. I think that when you see a woman or a man, I think it's natural to be curious about how it would feel or what it would be like. But when you are with somebody, that feeling should be a fleeting feeling. It should be like a 5-second thing, maybe a minute thing, and then after that it's back to normal.
Right.
So I think that we are programmed to a certain degree that that's what we're supposed to do, that we're supposed to only desire one woman. But I just think that some people miss out on that programming, and therefore they have multiple women.
So is it different when you are married to have desires for another woman when you're married? Because the Bible says one of the...
I think there is a certain maturity that has to be applied to the thoughts that we have in our head. Like for instance, there are times when I look at somebody that get on my nerves, like the thought is to slap them across their face. But the maturity in me is, that's not something that I should do in,
pretty much
civilized, civilized society. So I think that I think it's a problem when it becomes a constant exposure to whatever it is you desire. I think that if every person you walk across that you feel like is attractive, if you are secretly desiring them, then there's obviously something wrong with your marriage or wrong with you.
Well, desire is a lower level function. We desire many things. So I don't think that men are programmed to desire one woman or be attracted to one woman. So there's different levels of attraction as well. So yeah, so desire, like you said, you can desire cars, money, cash, women, clothes, shoes. You can desire a lot of things, but often what our heart wants is that one companion, that one person, where our soul needs the great soul ties with one person, not multiple people. So men can desire, it's not programming. They can desire more than one woman, and vice versa, women can desire more than one man.
So caller, are you on the line? Do you have something to say about our topic today? Are men really programmed to desire only one woman?
Yes, Xavia. This is Hondo Solomon calling in. I just got into the show. I heard what the sister just said on the caller. But in relation to women, you have to always look at biology, how we're actually designed. And the fact is, desiring a woman and even multiple women for a man is biological. You can't beat biology. That's not something that's lower. There's no lower upper desire with biology. It's just a desire. And men, from the reproductive organs up to the spirit, are designed to be with multiple women if that's what they so choose. It's not a tit for tat or feminist or we are all equal type thing, because we are not actually equal. We're not the same. Okay? So that's just a fact. Men and women are not the same. We're not designed the same on a physical level, physiology, anatomy. It's not happening like that. That's why polygyny has always been the dominant form of marriage worldwide. It has nothing to do with even religion. Men, if they're going to be with multiple women, as I've said on the previous show, there has to be a system in place that allows everyone to be taken care of. So if a man is going to have multiple women, it should be in a family structure. Okay? Men desiring more than one, women desiring more than one man, that's always when they are outside of a cultural construct. That's called polyandry, and that's when the men are outnumbering the women. We find women working in North America, it is always based on they just want to sex multiple women. But polygyny is not always like it. That's why men would not just want these women for sex if he's, one of the good, so-called good guys. He actually likes those women for holistic reasons, okay? He can actually name why he likes those women and what they can add to his economy. But women sleeping with multiple men is never about building an economy. It's never about family building, okay? I've done altogether close to 15,000 hours of research now on both of these topics. And biologically, women are not designed to go in and have sex with multiple men. In fact, every time women do that and they engage in it, they always run into problems. They have hip problems. They have spiritual and emotional problems. In fact, any doctor would tell you the more men that these women are sleeping with, the more physiological problems they're going to have, and more likely they're going to fall into emotional illnesses and mental illnesses. Not necessarily so with men. All right.
Hey Hondo, I got a question. Someone from the panel has a question for you. So let us ask you this question. Go ahead.
Hey, how you doing, man? This Keith. Are you in a committed relationship by any chance, bro?
Yes.
So, do your lady understands that you say it's okay for a man to desire another woman or multiple women, but it's not okay for her to desire men or multiple men? Are you saying that's
Well, I teach one thing in my home and then teach another thing on the air. I don't do that. On the last show that Xavia had, my consort, my woman, was actually on the show, and she corroborated exactly what I said. Okay, she's not sleeping with multiple men. I don't even have another woman right now. Okay, however, we both agree with polygyny. And if I do want 10, 20, 30 more wives, I can do that. See, she understands that because it's not about sex. And your question, the way you worded your question, points back to something I already responded to before you even got there. It's not about sex. Polygyny ain't even about sex. Okay? It's about economics. And I've broken that down too on the last show and in my work. I actually have a book on the subject.
I have a question.
Sex is great, but it ain't everything. You can't have sex 24/7. That in and of itself doesn't necessarily build a family. I'm always coming from an ancient, Eastern, and very applicable perspective. And it goes well beyond sex.
Hey, Hondo, we got another question for you.
Hello, Hondo. This is Okera. If I'm not correct, I thought I heard you say that when women have sex with multiple men, it also leads to psychological and physiological problems. But did you say that that did not apply for men as well? Because I tend to differ. I tend to think that there are problems that men suffer from having sex with a lot of women. Were you saying that that didn't happen to men?
I said not necessarily. It's going to depend on context. For instance, if a man is sleeping with prostitutes, which I admit men who frequent prostitutes, they do have problems because you're sleeping with prostitutes. If you're just sleeping around at random, and again, it's outside a cultural, socioeconomic perspective and a construct, and yes, you're going to have problems. Men are wired differently. So what's going to show up in the men is going to be different than the women. Men tend to become sort of numb to take care of the women when they're just getting it in and just sleeping around all these women. Women, however, they tend to have a lot more issues when, and it's not a right or wrong thing, it's just the way it is. They tend to have a lot more issues. For instance, they can have babies, okay? Men, we don't necessarily have to worry about having babies with multiple women if we're going to take care of them. A woman is going to run into some problems unless she's going to have multiple abortions, which also damages the body and the spirit. Okay.
Okay.
So, it's not
I got one more person and I want to bring, I know that there is a lady holding on, and I know she is probably biting her bottom lip right now because this was one of the topics she wanted to chime in on. And Cornelia, I see you and I know that you on fire over there in California. I'm going to bring you in just a second. So just hold on. I'm going to let Miss Karen chime in because she got something to say.
Hi. Okay, anyway, my whole point is, to me, you got to have some type of mental issues if you sleeping around, being promiscuous anyway, something going on. And also, you heard the book, and the saying goes, men don't heal, they hoe. So when they're sleeping around, something's going on. You know, they've been hurt, but some type of psychological thing been happening anyway. So I disagree on that level as well. A lot of them sleep around. The body, natural, it's just natural. If you do something on a regular basis for 30 days or more, it becomes, you know, habit forming in your body. So if you're sleeping around all the time, that's why a lot of men suffer from sex addiction. And it goes, and a lot of times it's not even about sex after you know, a certain point. So obviously it's something wrong mentally anyway.
Okay, I'm going to add Miss Cornelia time to this conversation because I know she got something to say. Hondo, I still got your line active as well. So Cornelia, can you hear me?
I'm good. How's everybody doing today?
We're good. So I know that this was one of the conversations, this was one of the topics that you wanted to get in on. So have you heard what Hondo had to say?
Yes, I did. And I agree and disagree on different portions of it, but this is my perspective on your question. As far as being programmed, we're all being programmed in some form or fashion for pretty much everything we do. But the thing about monogamy, this is a social, psychological, and biological issue. But the actual act is based on the consciousness of a man, okay? First of all, women have made it very, very easy for men to do that, to desire or be programmed for many women. Believe it or not, the women have made that very, very easy. And then we're surrounded by a sexually influenced society that pushes that.
So again, this is a conscious effort for, that decides what, when or why men do this. It could be the ego, it could be anger, sensitive anger and management issues, ego, easy accessibility. There's a lot of things, but the bottom line is what decides if a person is going to do it or not is the consciousness of a man as to what is right or wrong according to him. So while we can blame it on anybody or reason why, whatever, it's the bottom line with self. So if every woman decided to just today from now on just make men more accountable, some of this stuff would stop. So in terms of it being programmed, I wouldn't say it's being programmed. I think it's just the way of our society, the way it works, that influences people to do this. Because there are a lot of people who are not programmed to go out here and play around, mess around, do a lot of crazy things. But once they get into an environment where it's easy accessible, if I went it wrong, do what wrong to do.
Holistic Harmony, Inc. is a solution-focused therapy agency with 100% satisfaction in building passionate, quality relationships. We offer individual, couples, and group sessions with licensed therapists. No topic is off limits because we believe in real talk. Contact us today to schedule your appointment at 773-420-9572. Visit us on the web at holistichearmonyinc.biz. We don't counsel you, we cultivate you.
If you've ever dreamed of becoming an entrepreneur and don't know where to start, The Entrepreneur Within You by Julie Holloway is a must-read. Holloway and 17 co-authors share advice and inspiration that can save you from serious business blunders. So purchase your copy today on Amazon.com or BarnesandNoble.com. The Entrepreneur Within You. Empowering, equipping, inspiring.
O'Kara has a question for you, Cornelia. Go ahead.
All right. My question is that if you, on one hand, say that it's a conscious decision on him, then how would, if women started to hold men accountable, how would that translate to him doing something different if it has nothing, if his actions have nothing to do with him? Because if you are a person and whatever it is you do is what you do regardless of what anybody else does, then it shouldn't matter. You should either be one way, either you are no good or you are some good. What a woman decides, some women can hold them accountable, but then maybe he just go lie to another one. So that probably wouldn't stop him either. So it all centers on the person and what they decide.
You're right about the lying part, because that is a huge factor in doing this, or having this problem. Liars to themselves and everyone else. That helps them, that helps them engage in this type of activity. But again, when we're talking about programs is something that is instilled in your mind from a beginning point. From someone just constantly programming you, manipulating you, training you to do this. And I think that's a real strong word. Say if men are programmed to desire more than one woman. I haven't really seen much things out here to influence that. I've seen things to talk about it, to go against it, to condemn it. But again, on the other hand, like I said, it's a consciousness effort. When I say hold you accountable, me, for example, it takes time to get to know a person. You have to get to know a person before you like them or get involved. A lot of people do not do that. So you find yourself in these situations where you may be involved with other people, third or fourth parties, or whatever the case may be. But what I'm saying to you is holding a person accountable is standing strong and finding out to know about this person, what he's doing, who he's doing it with. And once you see that this person is actively engaged or involved with other people, you take your stand and say, no, I'm not jumping on this bandwagon. If a lot more women did that, the so-called programming would stop.
Okay.
I know that I do agree with what the sister on the line, so I believe that is it Caroline?
Cornelia?
Cornelia.
Oh, Cornelia, my apologies. Okay. What Cornelia said regarding, male accountability and the line, and again, Xavia and I And as discussed before, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with men just going around sleeping with multiple women just because it's biology. You know, it has to be something set up for that to make sure all parties are accountable. I believe that, men should never, ever lie to a woman about having or even wanting another woman. That's what it does. It breaks the trust bond between the man and the woman that he already has. And if you don't have a woman's trust, you can't go anywhere with the woman. That's how women are wired. Once you break their trust, they are going to be giving you the side eye. So, no matter what you do to try to smooth that over, it's not going to happen. So, my recommendation to all the men is, and some of the men are out there listening, they do have some side chicks, as they call them, and mistresses. And, that is not cool because it breaks down the family, especially if there are children involved. Even if the mistress herself has children, what it does is it degrades the woman. Okay? Yes, she has decided to engage with the man, but she's also degrading herself, and the man is helping to do that because he's appealing to her emotions and to her sex drive. But if she has children, they are not receiving a proper example of how men and women are supposed to move with each other. Okay? So, I really don't have any disagreements with anything, many things you said, many things Cornelia said.
Okay, well, thanks for that. We have, the phone lines are lighting up on this topic, so let me get another caller on the line before we move on to the next topic. So, 267 area code, are you on the line? Can you hear me?
Hello, yes. How are you? My name is Natasha. How are you?
I'm great. How about yourself? Did you have something to say on the topic?
But I definitely would like to share the fact that I'm in a relationship, and I've been in a relationship now for 6 years, and that a part of my relationship, like the gentleman said, the trust factor is the number one core reason why we're still able to have a good functioning relationship. And most of all, to be able to teach our children, it's going to come from us setting a good example with being monogamous towards one another and not going outside of our, relationships to fulfill, lustful needs that may happen. And it can happen with men and it can happen with women as well. The temptation is always there for us to indulge into, things that we feel that we're denied. But that's a part of maturing and having growth. To some fellows who do have side chicks or some females, or who want to have more than one, spouse. It's just like, would you share a lollipop? I mean, you figure, sure, we all like lollipops, but would you take the lollipop and keep licking it after somebody else then licked it, like 20 people?
No. I'm not sharing my lollipop.
I like that little thing you talk about that and licking my lollipop.
No, I ain't sharing my lollipop. No, that's a good analogy, Natasha.
Yes,
So are you saying that neither men nor women are really programmed for monogamy? Is that what you're saying?
Well, what I'm trying to, make clear is the fact that the situation that you find yourself in, just make sure you're not contradicting yourself when, a young man or a young lady comes to date your children. Just remember that. Do you want a guy, 10 guys running through your teenage female because you feel so, you can have 10 different women? So expect 10 different young men to be knocking at your door, in a sense.
All right.
Well, you know what, and I can understand exactly what you're saying, but I didn't think about that before I had a daughter. Yeah. But now that I got a daughter, I do think about that. So when you said that, it makes it so, it clears it up. I mean, if a lot of brothers and a lot of men, just think about their own daughters, because I know it's a lot of them out there that have daughters. If they think about that, what they're doing to other women, because these other women that they're doing it to, they have fathers too. So I do get that, and that was real good. I like how you said that.
Okay, thank you, Natasha. We got yet another caller on the line that wants to weigh in on this topic. So caller at 773-664, can you hear me? Are you on the line?
This is Qiana. I had got disconnected, but I had wanted to I think you guys kind of already hit on it, the difference between the men and the women, that the men can have, I think I'll carry you rock. That men can have sex and he doesn't have any physiological or emotional or spiritual drawbacks, but if women have multiple partners, then she has all these problems. But you guys already hit on it, so it's okay.
All right, well then we are going to go on to the next caller that wants to weigh in. 215 area code. 215 area code, can you hear me?
Yes, hello.
Okay, you're on the line.
Yes, my name is Joyce, and I was just listening in, and I found the conversation very interesting. I am a single mother of 4. In my young life, I've had relationships with different men and slept with a number of men. And my reason for doing that was due to being molested at 12. So my whole perception of men and sexuality and just being hurt and rejected from family and things because of that molestation and me talking about it, it led me into a lifestyle of just looking for love and accepting it from whoever came along and showed me some type of care and acceptance, being that I was rejected so much. And so my life, of course, now is just totally turned around. Like I said, I am a responsible mother of 4. But when it comes to relationships between men and women, I don't feel as though it's okay for it to be okay for a man to have all these women and be in relationships with all these women in a marriage, and then the wife, she should just, she's not allowed to do that. I feel as though it's an equal exchange, because when you take vows with that one person, your body, your life, your soul is dedicated to that one person. And I feel like just as much as it defiles a woman to go out and sleep with different men, the man is just as much defiled. And for a woman to accept a man knowing that he's in a relationship with approximately maybe 10 other women or less, I think there's underlying issues within herself of not knowing her self-value and her her self-worth. And it may root back to something that took place in her childhood. My question to that woman would be, do you know how special you are? Do you know that you're a diamond? Do you know that you deserve to have a man who dedicates his body up to only you? Do you know your self-worth and value? And so for me, even with me living that lifestyle when I was younger, of sleeping around and looking for love, it wasn't until I was able to deal with my underlying issues, which was the root was dealing with that molestation that happened to me and the rejection that I received from family as a result of it. After I dealt with that root, then I began to realize that I was somebody special, that I was lovely, that whoever my king will be in the future, because I know who I am, I'm not just going to accept somebody else who I'm sharing with possibly the world. Because just as much as a man wants his wife to present himself special to him, sanctified and just, knowing that nobody is sleeping with her, her baby's aren't open for another man, I think the man should be able to present himself the same way. And I think some of the problems that we're having today, even when it comes to certain women and respecting men, how can I respect you and honor you the way you want me to if I know that you're sleeping with 5 different other women, and I know that you're giving your soul to her? Because when you have intercourse, it's not just, I heard the gentleman say that, it's easier for the man to just, disassociate himself with feelings. But whether he believes it or not, he's sharing a part of himself with her. And so having these different relationships is a ground for breeding confusion in the household, whether they realize it or not. There is some underlying confusion, and it comes out in subtle behaviors and subtle ways and subtle attitudes. And so I just think that a woman to accept a man like that, she doesn't understand her self-worth and her self-value and what she deserves. So that was my take on things.
And I'm feeling you on that, because, you know, it is about, and I always say, women have to value themselves. We have to feel that we are worthy and deserving of what we desire. And sometimes we settle for different situations and arrangements just so that you have somebody as opposed to nothing, you know, and you just really have to value yourself. You know, I am not for polygamy or polygyny. I'm not necessarily against it. You know, if two adults truly desire to have that type of arrangement, you know, or, you know, even if it's not a polygynous situation, if, you know, a woman truly desires to just be one of many for whatever reason, she would desire something like that. If you're a consenting adult, you with it, then you with it. But in my opinion, you know, you really need to value yourself and figure out what you need, and don't just settle for something because you can't get more out of the situation. You know, sometimes women meet a man and it's like, oh, I really want to be with him because he's fine, but he's like, I ain't ready for a relationship. So she just go along with it, hoping and thinking and praying and wishing that one day he gonna change his mind and be like, you know what, you done hung in there all this time. It's her fault. Because if you agree with it, it's your fault. It's not the man's fault. So you can't go and be like, men are dogs. I did all of this for him and he went off with somebody else. No, it's not that the man is a dog. You agreed to it. I think you actually touched on that the last time we talked about tricking women. And you said if the woman is participating in it, how's it tricking? He told you, I don't want a relationship. And you went along with it anyway.
She wants that Lifetime Achievement Award.
The Lifetime Achievement Award. All right.